as I said, I want to title my remarks, Omowale, the sun has returned. Omowale, the sun has returned. And I see at least one person is partial to the title, brothers and sisters. But I'm sure that he's not biased in any way.
No bias.
There are many commentators on the life of Omowale Malcolm X, many students of the life of Omowale Malcolm X, who talk about the three phases of his life. And the three phases, they would say, are Malcolm Little. That is Malcolm X from childhood until he went to, from childhood to his imprisonment. Then they talk about Malcolm X. That is Malcolm X after he joined the Nation of Islam, but before he went to Mecca for Hajj in 1964. And then after that is El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. But very few people actually talk about Omowale.
That's right.
Omowale.
That's right. Tell the truth.
Omowale is the name. No, you shouldn't get too touchy about this. Omowale, as we know, is the name that he was given when he went to Mama Africa. Yeah? So, and it is an African name. It is a Yoruba name that means the sun has returned. And that was a name that he was given by a youth movement, a students' movement. I'm going to read from the book, the autobiography of Malcolm X in a moment. But it was when he went to Africa that he was given this name. But so many commentators on the life and so many students on the life of Omowale Malcolm X put so little emphasis on the Africa aspect of his legacy. Yes. And yet it was a profound, such a profound and prominent aspect of Omowale Malcolm X's legacy, especially towards the latter part of his life. Yes. In fact, in the book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and we must remember that Papa Omowale Malcolm X had died before the book was actually published. Okay? And we learned from Baba Anthony Browder that there were another three chapters, or four, was it four? 4 chapters that should have been included in the final publication, but which were omitted. Huh?
He said 2 last
Well, I'm sure I've heard him say 3.
Yeah, I've heard it, yeah.
Right? Well, 2, 3, or 4 chapters, brothers and sisters. But the first time I heard this was in 1993.
That's right.
On an Al-Kebalan Malcolm X observance platform. 1993, Baba Anthony Browder actually was our keynote speaker at our Omowale Malcolm X observance in 1993. And he said then that there were 3 chapters that were missing in the final publication. 3 chapters were omitted. Yeah? And I think he did say that one of the chapters was the Africa emphasis. It was about his Africa sojourn. Now, the autobiography of Malcolm X actually has a chapter called Mecca. It has a chapter called El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. But there's no chapter called Africa. And there's no chapter called Omowale. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Indeed, the film, X, puts a lot of emphasis on Mecca, but doesn't mention Africa. Why no mention of Africa? When Omowale Malcolm X spent 6 months out of the last year of his life in Mama Africa. Understand this. It is very, very important, brothers and sisters, that we understand this and that we ask a serious question here as to how it is that Africa was so much on the mind and on the tongue and was so prominent in the mission of the prophet, of Omowale Malcolm X, in the latter stage of his life, and yet so little emphasis has been placed. How is it that he spent a couple of weeks in Mecca and 6 months in Africa, and you have books written and films produced about his life, and either mentions Africa marginally or doesn't mention Africa at all? There's something wrong there.
That's right.
Yeah? There is something wrong there, brothers and sisters. And Brother Omowale behind me, Papa Omowale's namesake, says it has something to do with the Jewish onslaught.
Yes, that's right.
But has it got something to do with somebody somewhere not wanting Africans in the diaspora to connect with Africa and Africans in Africa? Because that's something to do with that. And if that is the case, then shouldn't we as Africans be rushing to find out more about Africa and Africans in Africa, and why Omowale Malcolm X spent so much time in Africa connecting Africans in the diaspora with Africans in Africa? And that was his mission. I'll come back to that in a minute, brothers and sisters.
Tell the truth, brother.
But to the name, when it was given, and these are his words, brothers and sisters. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
He says, afterward in the Students' Union, I was plied with questions. And this is on page 466. And I was made an honorary member of the Nigerian Muslim Students Society. Right here in my wallet is my card. Al-Hajji, that's another way of saying El-Hajj. Malcolm X, registration number M1338. With the membership, I was given a new name, Omowale. Listen carefully. He says, it means, in the Yoruba language, the son who has come home. I meant it when I told them I had never received a more treasured honor.